Hi! This week's shorts were quotes and ideas from Dale Carnegie's How to Make Friends and Influence People. A collection of ideas for how to navigate social situations. A little different from the usual funny, but I liked it all the same. Maybe you will too. Enjoy! In the autumn of 1842, Abraham Lincoln ridiculed a vain, pugnacious politician by the name of James Shields. Lincoln lampooned him through an anonymous letter published in the Springfield Journal. The town roared with laughter. Shields, sensitive and proud, boiled with indignation. He found out who wrote the letter, leaped on his horse, started after Lincoln, and challenged him to a duel. Lincoln didn't want to fight. He was opposed to dueling, but he couldn't get out of it to save his honor. He was given the choice of weapons. On the appointed day, he and Shields met on a sandbar in the Mississippi River, prepared to fight to the death, but at the last minute, their seconds interrupted and stopped the duel. Never again did he ridicule anyone. When Mrs. Lincoln and others spoke harshly of the Southern people, Lincoln replied, "Don't criticize them. They are just what we would be under similar circumstances." A head physician of a psychiatric hospital said, "I have a patient right now whose marriage proved to be a tragedy. She wanted love, sexual gratification, children, and social prestige, but life blasted all her hopes. Her husband didn't love her. He refused even to eat with her and forced her to serve his meals in his room upstairs. She had no children, no social standing. She went insane, and in her imagination she divorced her husband, resumed her maiden name, and now believes she has married into English aristocracy. She dreams of having a child every night. Tragic? I don't know," her physician said. "If I could stretch out my hand and restore her sanity, I wouldn't do it. She's much happier as she is now." If some people are so hungry for a feeling of importance that they go insane to get it, imagine what miracle you and I can achieve by giving people honest appreciation this side of insanity. The New York Telephone Company made a detailed study of telephone conversations to find out which word is the most frequently used. You've guessed it. It's the personal pronoun I. It was used 3,900 times in 500 telephone conversations. I. When you see a group photograph that you're in, whose picture do you look for first? If we merely try to impress people and get people interested in us, we will never have many true, sincere friends. We have to show an interest in other people. Dr. Spruill, a veterinarian in Missouri, told of a typical spring day when his waiting room was full of clients waiting to have their pets inoculated. No one was talking to anyone else, and all were probably thinking of a dozen other things they would rather be doing, other than wasting time sitting in that office. A young woman came in with a 9-month-old baby and a kitten. As luck would have it, she sat down next to a gentleman who was more than a little distraught about the long wait for service. The next thing he knew, the baby just looked up at him with that great big smile that is so characteristic of babies. What did that gentleman do? Just what you and I would do, of course. He smiled back at the baby. Soon, he struck up a conversation with the woman about her baby, and soon the entire reception room joined in. The boredom and the tension were converted into a pleasant and enjoyable experience. An insincere grin? No, that doesn't fool anybody. We know it is mechanical and we resent it. I'm talking about a real smile, a heartwarming smile, a smile that comes from within. Claude Marais, a restaurant owner in Rouen, France, used a principle to save his restaurant the loss of a key employee. This woman had been in his employ for 5 years and was a vital link between Marais and his staff of 21 people. He was shocked to receive a resignation letter. Marais reported, "I was very surprised and even more disappointed because I was under the impression that I had been fair to her and receptive to her needs. Inasmuch as she was a friend as well as an employee, I probably had taken her too much for granted and maybe even more demanding of her than of other employees. I could not, of course, accept this resignation without some explanation. I took her aside and said, 'Paulette, you must understand that I cannot accept your resignation. You mean a great deal to me and to this company, and you are as important to the success of this restaurant as am I.' Paulette withdrew her resignation, and today I can rely on her as never before. I frequently reinforce this by expressing my appreciation for what she does and showing her how important she is to me and to the restaurant." Carl Rogers, psychologist, wrote, "I have found it of enormous value when I can permit myself to understand the other person. The way in which I have worded this statement may seem strange to you. Is it necessary to permit oneself to understand another? I think it is. Our first reaction to most of the statements which we hear from other people is an evaluation of judgment rather than of understanding. When someone expresses some feeling, attitude, or belief, our tendency is almost immediately to feel that's right, or that's stupid, or that's abnormal, unreasonable, incorrect, not nice. Very rarely do we permit ourselves to understand precisely what the meaning of the statement is to the other person. Jay Mangum represented an escalator maintenance company in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and a hotel manager named Rick did not want to shut down the escalators for more than 2 hours to inconvenience his guests. The repair was going to be at least 8 hours. When Mr. Mangum telephoned the hotel manager to schedule a repair, he said, "Rick, I know your hotel is quite busy and you would like to keep the escalator shutdown time to a minimum. I understand your concern about this, and we want to do everything possible to accommodate you. However, our diagnosis of the situation shows that if we do not do a complete job now, your escalator may suffer more serious damage, and that would cause a much longer shutdown. I know you would not want to inconvenience your guests for several days." The hotel manager, Rick, agreed. By sympathizing with the manager's desire to keep his patrons happy, Mr. Mangum was able to win the hotel manager to his way of thinking easily and without rancor.